まず、伊佐治から。
はい。Thank you for coming.
Joining.
Yeah.
Join our talk with talk about what happened in Göteborg. And today I invite John Hungtington from Göteborg, and he's a performing artist. And I was very interested in his works, and later he will introduce his own works. And his performance is very なんつったらいいのかな very calm and aiming to show as a picture. So it's a little bit different from performing arts with the audience. And to appreciate his work from photography or video works, it's give us something weird experience. And let's start talk and with Nozomu Ogawa from Art Center Ongoing. Then today you have some slides to introduce your works. And
yes.
Now you ready?
Yeah. So let's. How long should I talk about my own work now? It's for briefly how long time?
Like 30 minutes or 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Or if you want, if you have more longer.
No, I can keep it to 30 minutes or so. And just you interrupt me if you have any questions while I'm talking. Otherwise, I'll begin. So, yes. Hello, my name is John Hungtington, and I'm an artist from Gothenburg, as Isashi just said. And I will talk a bit about one of my collaborative projects, which is called Konstepidemin. It's a Swedish word. It means roughly the Secretariat Bureau. So it's basically a nonsense word. It's two words put together that means the same thing. So you don't really know what this organization does. And it's a collaboration with my partner or my colleague, Per Arne Sträng. So we have been doing this together now for 13 years. We've been working together, doing different kind of projects. But and I will mention some of them, but maybe I will talk more about one of them. And just want to say that it's very nice to be invited to talk about our work and in another context, share it with some other people that might not have been seeing it before. So I will switch over to these slides and I will talk a bit about what they are. So let's see. All right, now you see my screen, right? It works. So this is our logo. It's the Swedish word Konstepidemin. And like I said, we've been working together since 2007. And we began working while we were living up in the north of Sweden. It's quite cold and we were still students at the art academy there. And my own work, I've been doing more like maybe street art projects, a bit political political projects dealing with the urban environment in different ways. And Per-Arne, my colleague, he been working more with the small-scale poetic video works, for example, very much dealing with the everyday life and situations you have in your home, for example. So we began working together doing these very small-scale actions in public, mostly in public spaces, but also in our home and in our studio. So they were very small-scale, and we tried to bring in a notion of irrationality. So we kind of try to lift or question how we strive to be rational in our daily life at all. We try to be efficient, we try to be productive in different ways, and we wanted to question this and see what would happen if we do things a bit differently, doing it slowly or doing it inefficiently or doing it in another way, or try to breaking different kind of norms that we have in our very, very private lives. So this project, it began experimenting with this, just seeing it from the perspective of our own daily lives. So this is action number 1. This is my Per-Arne. And this is done in Umeå. It's action number 1, wait outside the grocery store for no reason. So he stood there for 5 minutes without having, he didn't wait for anyone in particular, or he didn't need to be there. He just wanted to go home, but he was there anyway. So it just took 5 minutes, and then he took this self-portrait, and then it was over. So these actions are usually like that. They're quite short. They're almost invisible to the audience, but maybe not. Maybe somebody would wonder, why is he standing there? Or maybe not. This is another one we did in the beginning. It's another up in the north of Sweden. We had this campaign, this nej, it means basically just no. So we had a campaign against everything without any particular purpose. And it was also a bit, this image from this particular action has been with us ever since. It's quite, it says a lot about the project, and maybe also a bit about Sweden. We were on this square in the middle of the day with a sign. It was very, not so many people. People didn't come up and ask, for example, what are you doing? Maybe we were there for over an hour, maybe 3 or 4 people actually wondered, what are you doing? So it's, and it's also very, so it says something about how we interact with each other, that maybe we are curious, but we might not want to ask what the things are about, or we're not that curious that we are able to overcome our own anxiety of talking to other people. So it's, many of our actions also have that aspect, that it's a kind of a trying to connect with other people, but very, very calmly. And it's also quite playful. This is make a large snowball along the entire sidewalk. And it's also from the same winter when we began this project. Here, stand facing a pillar in the mall. Arrange the fir cones in the forest. Climb into a pit in the street. So many of them are, they are like this, quite playful and done in public space. And it's also, when we do them, we have this method that we've been working on for, and I can also say that this project we have been working on from time to time for 13 years. It's not something we do every day, but we do it on a couple of occasions each year. So now we have done 600 of these actions. And it's quite important because they are not spontaneous, they are planned. Because we always plan them in advance. So we make a list of actions that we're going to make, and then we go out into the city, for example, and we try to find the places where they fit. So this, for example, you have to walk for a while to be able to find a pit to climb into. And then when it's also a very kind of an interesting experience as an artist, but also as a normal human being, to walk around in the city and have this kind of look on the city and try to look for this situation. I have to find a hole or a pit so that I can climb into it. And that experience is also quite interesting, because it's like you almost switch glasses, to take on another pair of glasses, and you look for this totally other kind of things than you usually do. So I'll take some more example. This is take a queue ticket without using it. So this is one of these tickets you have for, when you stand in line, you have got your number and you wait for it, but you don't use it. When it's your number, you ignore it. Action number 152, it's take a complicated shortcut. Action number 182, spy on people. I don't know if you see it in the image here, but yeah, it's like this cartoonish. You have a small hole in the paper so you can look on people through the paper. Number 237, sharpen the pencil until it disappears. Say hello to a stranger. And this is 266, counteract autumn. I don't know if you see it, but it's my Per-Arne, he's trying to take tape and tape the leaves back onto the tree when they have fallen. So, and 271, sneak. 311, buy the same groceries as the person ahead of you. So then we walked into the store and we followed one person and bought exactly the same stuff. And then we paid for it after. We were quite lucky because the person only bought like 4 things. We could have been quite ruined economically if it was one person buying lots of stuff that we didn't want to buy. So we had this concept and we tried just follow it through. And this is from Latvia, so it's another country. And we try to, these kind of actions, we have done them in kind of different cities in Sweden and also in a couple of other countries. So it's a concept that is quite easy to work with. It's quite fun. It's me and Per-Arne, my colleague, we don't live in the same city. So when we meet each other, we try to, we have a list and we do some of these actions and we document them. And here's another one, wait for a miracle in Riga. Carry a friend in your arms.
Is this your story?
What did you say?
Is this your the performing partner? Yeah,
it's me. That's in the. I am the one that get carried. It's Per-Arne. He's lifting me. Mm-hmm. So we walked around in the city like this, carrying it. He carried me around. So they both playful in that aspect, but we also try to kind of choose the ones when we show some of them that has kind of some kind of poetic quality, that they can both have this kind of immediate thing that that's funny, or that's but it also says something about maybe larger issues, maybe something about how we act in society, and also kind of how we interact, how we take care of each other, or maybe how we lack, and how it's usually some different kind of ways of connecting with other people, like showing some kind of warmth in everyday life. Many of them, not all of them maybe, but this is one of them. And this is 439, it's try to sleep with the ducks. Support a tree. 455, it's be a street musician. It's from Denmark. 513, wear a paper bag over your head. We've been collecting these for many years now, and it's a project that when we began working with it, we thought that it might be run out of ideas, or we might get bored of it quite quickly. But it feels like it's a project that can continue forever. It doesn't really have any end. And it's quite open also what's possible to include in the project. So it's not closed in that aspect. It's quite open. But we during the years, of course, doing these kind of actions, you kind of get very many ideas. So it's a very good project in that aspect, to try out things and also see how we, when we do something, it feels, and how and what it actually says about the surroundings. So and then 2 years ago we did this publication that you also have a copy there, which is like a 10-year anniversary thing. So we continued after this publication, but this is the first 10 years of the project. So that was kind of one milestone of the project. I might talk a bit about another project, but do you have any questions about this project?
Yeah, I was interested in, I found when you talk about climbing into a pit, and you made a concept at first, and you wander the city to find the pit. Firstly, I thought when you found the pit, then I thought you got the idea of the works, but so always you are following a concept before the works, and there must be some discussion with your partner. So but you don't show so much on the your works. It's very that's why your work looks very quiet and calm. And is there some long discussion with your partner to create a new concept?
Yeah, we have our method is quite we have a document that we share, me and my partner, and it's quite long. Maybe it's like 1,200 possible actions that we haven't made yet. So we have a very, very long brainstorming document. We call it the visionary archive. It's not the things that is yet to be realized. So, and from time to time we talk on the phone or we Skype each other, and we write in these documents. And this document is quite, yeah, we can be a bit silly and childish in this document. We don't need to be totally, we don't feel that we need to do everything that's in there. But then when we come to a place, for example, if we have an exhibition somewhere, and we usually always try to do new actions when we come somewhere, then we look in this document and we select maybe 30 or 40 actions. And then we have like one paper, like a piece of paper that we have in our pockets. And then we walk around with this paper, and maybe then we don't, maybe not doing all of them, maybe we're not doing half of them. So maybe 20. So, and we try to find places and situations which they fit. So it's quite, yeah, it's a kind of a selection procedure, basically. It's from this very, very large amount of possible things, basically anything that you can, yeah, a lot of different things, it's in there. But, and then we boil it down to what we actually do. And then we're only showing a selection of what we actually have done. So it's also we have done very much more than we usually show in an exhibition, where we show this documentation photos usually in an exhibition.
It's very unique process. I've never heard of such like a
maybe it's a bit weird, but it works for us. It's also going around thinking about possible things you can do is also kind of a very, it opens up certain spaces in your brain, for me at least. And it's also very good for when you're viewing other people. For example, if you're going by the bus, somebody is acting a bit weird, doing something out of the ordinary. And then you have, if you think having this kind of, you switch your glasses and you put on these artist glasses, then you can view it more like, interesting. What is this person up to? Instead of maybe you being annoyed that they are sounding too much, or now I'm getting disturbed here in my everyday life. And then you can, so I think it's a good training for seeing people a bit differently in your everyday life. I don't know, for me at least, it's kind of the process is also a bit of a training.
That makes sense.
So it's very, and when we do all of the actions, we also try to be, as we are having a camera with us, we try to, the person taking the photo usually is a bit hidden, or we try to, so that the camera is not part of the actual work. Otherwise, maybe somebody would think there is somebody taking a photo of somebody instead of what's going on. Because when we do our actions, we want people to maybe see it a bit in the periphery, maybe like, what's going on over there? And maybe they will not confront us, or maybe they will not ask us anything, but maybe they will come home, and later that night, maybe they will talk to their aunt, or I saw something weird on town. Somebody climbed into a pit. Why did he do that? Or something like that. That's what we want. I don't know if that's happening, but that's our ambition at least. I can show some images from another project.
Yeah, please continue to another slide.
I'll do that.
Yeah.
This is another part of a project with a sculpture project. Actually, it's not a performance art project. We call it the Phantom Administration. I don't know if you have seen this. It wasn't. It's objects made for. Because when we picked the name for our artist project, we picked a name that was having this sounded like we are an institution, like the Secretariat Bureau. but we're not an institution, we are two people. But then we kind of try to take on this perspective. If we are an institution and we still want to make this kind of small irrational elements into other people's everyday life. So we began looking more on the office and working environments. So do you know this kind of pen with a chain? Do you have that in? Yeah. So basically this is a modified pen. So instead of the chain is usually like 30 centimeters, but here you have a pen with the chain is 6 meters long. So you have a very much more space. So you can feel much more free, but you still have this chain. So we made sculptures like this is an office clock. So it's basically the two numbers you need to keep track of. It's when you begin work and when you finish work. It's everything else in your life is taken out of the equation. It's so they are also quite playful, and they are meant as prototypes, but still no company has wanted to put these products into production. This is an ergonomic notebook, which the lines are curved instead of straight, to be able to, partly it's good for your body, but it's also, we think that if you're writing curved, maybe you can, and if you don't write straight, maybe you're able to think more not so straight, maybe. I don't know if you have this like envelopes with the small window in Japan, but in Sweden you have this envelope and you have this small window where you have the address, and they usually come from authorities like the tax agency or your employers. But in our version we have many more of these small plastic windows, so it's like you can see the whole content of basically. So this is also a sculpture made for, and this is also a sculpture with this classical blue pen, but it's in different sizes, so you can one for each occasion. Basically you can have one for if you need it. Here's I'll skip that one. So that was basically one project where we tried to bring this kind of ideas that we have in our everyday life, from these actions where we try to break how we perceive our surroundings and kind of making it a bit more general, and try to make products for possible institutions or possible companies, but more as a suggestion that if you think a bit like not being so efficient all the time, maybe that's other values can emerge, other kind of perspectives, if you are making things a bit slow and in a calm way.
Can you show first photo of your second? Yeah. The installation view. This was from an installation we did with many of these objects in the same room, basically. So this is more like a scene, a setting. It's not a real office. It's inside of a gallery space. So it's but some of the objects, the clock and the pen, and we also have some other objects which I didn't show. That was in the. And we also made a couple of videos. They're in Swedish. You can see them on the webpage, but if you can hear Swedish, where we talk about these objects. Yeah, I will try to.
That's an upcoming process to translate them to English, but we haven't gotten that far yet. So basically, and we kind of continued this, some working like more sculpturally. This is more like the actions, but it's part of another series of work, which is called counterproduction, where we try to be productive, but we're using our own bodies instead of machines. And here is also, you make you make this kind of that children make in the play yard, but you do it as if you were a robot or a machine. You kind of misinterpret how to play. You try to play, but you're only doing this straight lines.
Mm-hmm.
And this is also in the same projects, a normal like white office shirt, but it's made from this weird material, and it's handmade and knitted together. And I can show you one last piece from this project. It's this is a regular standard cup, and here is 36 attempts to make a standard cup. But it's if you're if you're not a very skilled ceramic artist, it's very hard to make a normal regular standard coffee mug. And in this project, we also kind of question this gap between our bodies and the things we surround ourselves with. So this kind of regular things like a shirt or a cup, we don't really have any connection to it. It's very hard to make. And if you try to make it, it looks quite, a bit like this. It looks, some of these cups are almost impossible to drink from. But it's the honest attempts to make this particular cup, but failures, you might say.
So you try to make a standard cup.
Yeah, this is the thing that we tried to make. This is the cup that we are ideal cup that we bought, and we tried to make it, but failed for many. You may see this as many failures, but they have other qualities. But as a series, it's
and difficult to remake.
Yeah. And this is also, maybe this is the last image of the presentation. It's another work that we call it working space, where it's just part of the same series of these kind of repetitions where we make this kind of same actions. For example, the playing with the mud or doing these cups. And here we made like a room made out of paper clips. So it's around 30,000 paper clips that we assembled to become a room. So it's a bit like a celebration of this very small scale action to put two paper clips together. Because if you have a paper clip, it's you can put paper together. But if you attach them to each other, you destroy their purpose. You can't really use them as a paperclip anymore. Mm-hmm. And then we claim that this action is maybe kind of like a DNA of resistance. It's like a DNA, or maybe the smallest piece of art you can make somehow, putting together two paperclips. And then we made the same action 30,000 times. So it's kind of a celebration to this very small scale, everyday resistance, so that everyone can make. And everybody actually has done this as well. Everybody has put two paper clips together at some part in their life. So maybe that was my slides. Now I'm back on, now you can see me again, right?
Yeah.
So that's a bit like what we've been working on in this project. We tried to, from our very small scale perspective, from our own everyday lives, we try to talk about maybe larger questions about production and how we perceive our surroundings and how we are disconnected somehow from maybe our feelings or yeah. Yeah, you can
なんか、
you can still hear me?
いや、
Yeah, yeah, great.
さんからなんかあれば、
大丈
質問ありますか？うん。大丈夫。いや、it's I have seen your work, some of your works, and I was very interesting, very the perspective to face the world, sometimes on the street, sometimes in the office, and you also working as a working in Konstepidemin, and you have a like a watch you create 9 to 5. You have the kind of routine of as a kind of usual person. So, and also you I think your works looks feel important to have another alternative perspective, and looks enjoy a lot, and I was very happy to find artists try to enjoy more and more, and sometimes artists aim to get fame or to join more competitive art world. And actually this space also very alternative space, and alternative artists join this gallery. So I felt we are sharing such idea in another location. Do you think Göteborg is a good space to keep such a motivation to create your works?
Yeah, from my perspective, I can only, I don't know, if I compare different places in Sweden, for example, I've been living in Umeå and in Stockholm and in Gothenburg. For me, I think Gothenburg is a very, it's a good working environment. It's not, as many of these works, they are not so easy to sell as art pieces. They are not very, it's not, they don't bring in a very economical value where these photos, it's not, so it's, and here in Gothenburg, it's the art environment here is, it's quite much artist-run spaces. So I think there are commercial galleries, of course, and some of them are really great, but they are not maybe as, they are not setting the agenda in the same aspect, I would say, as the artist-run spaces in the city. And then we have the art hall and the art museum, which is like the more larger institutions as well. But there are quite a number of, for this size of a city, I think there are quite many numbers of like artist-run initiatives. And I think I've been involved in two of them. now Konstepidemin, where I work, is one of them. It's artist run. I'm employed, but where most of the artists are just, they are working here, and they are engaging in themselves on a voluntary basis. But then there are also like other galleries, which is more. So there are a number of artist-run galleries, and I think that's for my kind of art projects. That's a good working environment. It's not so. I think it's quite a good collaborative spirit. It's not so much competition maybe that I experienced in some other places. It feels quite that you, as an artist, you help each other out. Of course, it's a bit of a competition as well, but it's not. I think it's a kind of a friendly atmosphere in that way, and that's good for my kind of art projects, which is also are quite friendly, I guess.
I felt there are so many artists and so many studio for artists like Konstepidemin and Kokobe, and it looks so unique. And actually, I stayed in Konstepidemin, and there are another guest artists from Brazil, Poland, and England, and all of them trying to start to leave Göteborg. So I was very surprised. Everyone won.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a very good. I don't know. It's a very good. Good that it turns out that way, and not the opposite way, that people want to leave, that people want to stay. It's and that's very great. Here at Konstepidemin, where it's 130 artists that have are based here. They have their permanent studio space, and then there's 5 guest studios. So it's a couple of guest artists all the time. And like you say, quite many of them, or some of them, are like taking the opportunity to stay here for a couple of months and maybe get attached to Sweden, maybe coming back, and or maybe like, so that's for some people it's a beginning of like living in Sweden more permanently, and it's great that we can participate, help out a bit in that travel or that ambition somehow. So that's it's from my perspective, it's also very luxury to work with all these international artists. That's for you for example, and other people that comes here. It's a very interesting job in that aspect to get to know all this interesting artists from other countries.
And you said there is a friendly atmosphere, and before Corona crisis, there are so many open studio and so many party or so many time to hang out together. But I think it's create a good atmosphere for artists. But now it's very difficult time to do same things. And how do you think? How do you now you just waiting solve everything, or do you have some idea to got another way of art life in Göteborg?
I think from my perspective, my job is as an international coordinator, so it's very. This year has been quite, what can I say, boring from a working perspective. That usually we welcome many different artists, and we try to make events and make people meet each other. But now we can't meet, people can't travel. So this ambition has been it's been very, very calm. and it's more locally, like the people that can physically be at the same place is people from Sweden, basically, or maybe neighboring countries. But so this year has been very, very weird in that aspect. But I think, at least from our perspective, we're basically like everybody else. We're you're pushing it towards online events, trying to meet people in that way. And I think it can be one positive thing that can come out of it is, for example, this kind of conversation we're having right now. I think that it might be, we would be in different countries anyway, but maybe the idea to have a Zoom thing wouldn't be as close to our mind. Now everybody is, very, they know what it is to see a Zoom conversation, and they know how it is to participate in one. And then everybody is collaborating online all the time. So it gets easier. The threshold for talking to people from other countries gets kind of lower. I think we might see like more conversation between people from different parts of the world within the art community, hopefully at least, because it's easier. And people I think people all around the world get kind of used to new formats, which are more easily global formats that you can easily. So from our perspective, we are thinking more in these lines that if we have artists here, we can also invite like a discussion partner. Like now, basically, we can invite a discussion partner from another country that has another perspective, instead of them traveling here and with a plane and living here. They can also just participate more easily. So you can kind of get more connections faster in that aspect. And kind of. So I think that could be a good outcome, but I don't know. It's also, I don't know, meeting in physical person is quite, it's quite nice as well. So it's still hard to beat talking over the kitchen table or discussing somebody's work in the same room with the work. But I think we're still getting more and more used to it. But I think also that maybe from my perspective as a performance artist, but more also like as coming from the tradition of more like conceptual art and also like visual arts, we have, it's easier for us than for example, theater or musicians that, all of it got canceled. But we can still have an exhibition, but you have to need some regulation and restrictions. But other disciplines, some other art forms, they are very more hardly stricken by this situation.
Ongoing have so many online talk like this time, and Ogawa like he is now kind of a professional to how to upload the online talk on YouTube. And how do you feel about to have a online event like this time?
Me? You mean after the coronavirus?
Yeah. Did you feel something? Did you find something good side of online talk?
Yeah, actually, in my space, there's used to be so many artists who coming here, and we always hang out and talk and drink beer together. But recently we can't, of course, in the world same. So, so sometimes we talk by the Zoom or some other truths by internet. So, but actually, not same, of course, not same the before the situation. So I think we have to change the mind, and we have to change my space style, or what can I do in my space. So not same, of course. So I like the before one. Of course, I want to meet other artists in here and want to talk, not only online talk. Maybe we have to change our mind.
I think it's like almost, I can feel that it's almost two camps. People that think that this is a situation that will continue. So we had to change our minds. We had to adapt. We had to find new ways of producing art or viewing art or experiencing. And then it's the other camp or the other group that says that we just have to wait it through, and then it's back to normal, that we can meet each other and we can go to an exhibition physically, and we can, and yeah, maybe it's probably the future is probably in between there somehow, but I don't know myself. Somehow I feel hopeful, but I don't know. From personal perspective, talking is online. I think it's great. I don't have problems with that. But like experiencing artworks, it's harder. I think it's more. Then it competes with another part of your attention span somehow. If you're going to see a sculpture on a computer, or like a video work on a computer, or an exhibition that is, you know, filmed or something, then it competes with like Facebook and Netflix, and it's like competes with another kind of attention, which comes with like actually going to a space, like coming into a certain mindset. And now I'm into the space. I have to watch now I try to watch the things like serious. I have to be, I think it's something with that like physical movement into a space that is lacking. But maybe some smart, I don't know, computer person can come up with this, so you can shift your attention somehow. I don't know.
It sounds so hard to compete with Netflix or YouTube by artists. Swedish people have a culture to hug. And so this situation continue long time. It can destroy the hugging culture forever. So it's
I think the hugging culture, I don't know how long it's been around for, maybe 15 years or so. It's not like my mother's and father's generation. They didn't hug as much. I think it's they have learned to hug, because now everybody did it before Corona, of course. So now it's kind of destroyed that we hug each other all the time. I don't know. I think it's nice to hug people, so I would like to be able to do that more, but I can live without it as well. Some people with that are more like socially anxious, feel very relieved that they don't have to hug people all the time. But for me, maybe it will get destroyed, the hugging culture. I don't know. We'll see how long it will. Right now nobody's hugging anybody.
It's must be interesting if Swedish people start to behave like Asian people to. I mean, maybe that's how it's going to turn out. Some people begin to like. I see some people, instead of shaking hands, they begin to like just doing like this, like. So it's also like another kind of, I don't know, greeting, but it's not, you're not used to seeing that in Sweden. But it's an alternative to like
actually touching somebody.
Yeah, looks
So maybe, yeah, or maybe the more like. I will see. It's interesting times like that.
So we are interested in the view of Konstepidemin, and I would like to ask you to bring your phone to.
Yes, I will. Then I will switch to my phone and my.
Yeah.
But then you will stop. You will still hear me, but it won't record on the video, right?
I think it's better to turn off the mic of computer first, and turn on the mic of your phone, and then switch.
All right, I'll do that.
Yeah.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, great. And you can also see me. Now I switch to the phone and I will walk from the computer. So I'll just give you a little tour, basically, right?
Yeah.
Maybe I will just, let me see if I can turn the camera, maybe. You don't want to see me. Here is my, here you can see my office. It's not so tidy at the moment. Here I'm working together with Ulla that runs the gallery.
Yeah.
So, and here's the hallway, and here we have our offices and spaces, but it's not so interesting maybe to see our offices, but I will just walk around a bit. It's a very rainy, late October day today. It's not so nice weather outside. It's not raining exactly now, but it's quite cold, and it's not so nice. So here is our here is our main building. It's like where we have offices and stuff, and basically all the buildings here that you will see are part of Konstepidemin. So here's the studios in this house.
So huge.
And over here, yeah, it's quite big.
Yeah.
So I will like, and yeah, the artists here, they are it's all kind of different artists. It's mostly maybe visual artists, but it's also musicians and theater people, designers and crafts people as well. So here is the we have a restaurant on site. So it's here is the restaurant building. And here's also studios in this building, and also over here. The gallery is closed right now, so I can't really show the gallery space we have here, but it's next to my office where we were. So it's a lot of different buildings. I can should I walk up and I can show the building where your studio was?
Sounds cool.
I'll do that. So and we have like 3 like gallery spaces, like one larger, like bigger gallery, and one like old boiler room, which is in a cellar, and then we have like 2 like more like cellar spaces where you can exhibit works. And here we have a tent that it's put up for Corona purposes. If you want to have meetings and don't be indoors, you can have a meeting in the tent.
Nice.
It's quite nice. You can be a couple of people in there. Now it's getting a bit cold. It was better like a couple of weeks ago, but you can still be in there. but I can walk up. So this is also studios. It's an old epidemic hospital, so it's quite like fitting in these times. They were having, when they had like the cholera epidemic in the beginning of the last century, like 100 years ago. They were having all these people up here because it's up a hill, so they could be quarantined up here. So you didn't have to, so people that didn't have to go out into the city. So they were living in this buildings in this old hospital. And then down here in the building, it's one of the guest studios. That was the gatekeeper's house. That was keeping out where people came to visit. Oh, nice! It looks very good with a beer. I got it's only 2 o'clock in the day, so I have to wait for some time for my beer.
Sorry.
Oh, that's totally okay.
And Peru using the studio before using to place dead body, right? Yeah. They were also having spaces for the dead bodies up here. It's also nice space, I think.
So here is also part of the space, and here to my right here is one of the buildings. There's also the guest studio where you were staying here. That door. Usually we had in the space in here we tried to have before Corona we had more like parties and stuff going on there.
Yeah.
But not so much right now. But we'll see when we can do that again. So yeah, I think you have seen most of the buildings where these buildings up here is also part of our spaces. So we have a couple of spaces that people also can, like more like project spaces that you can rent and have, like for example a concert or a lecture or stuff like that. So I think we have 3 or 4 spaces like that people can rent. So there was quite many like public events going on here usually.
So usually, how many artists can stay here?
There are around 130 artists that having their space here.
130 artists.
Yeah. So and it's been around since the 80s. So it's it's been here since like 35 years. So and all of these 130 artists, they're also part of the organization. So it's an artist-run organization. So everybody has a vote in how the organization is run, basically. And you elect a board, and they take decisions. Like for example, they take decisions on whom to hire. Me, for example, I'm my work. I'm one of the people that's employed here. So I think it's the largest like studio, one of the largest in Sweden. I don't know if it's maybe the second largest or something. I think maybe they have one in Stockholm that's are more artists in the same organizations.
It's government now.
Yeah, artist so it's a art space, but the building, almost all building owned by government, right?
Yeah, you're by the city, the municipality. So it's the city of Gothenburg that owns the buildings. And so the organization hires from the city, and then all the artists pay their rent to the organization. But still, of course, they are quite old and they have some needs. maybe they are not the standard on all of the buildings are not top notch, but the rent is still quite cheap. It's very central in Gothenburg, so it's all of the housing in these areas are very expensive right now. But this is still quite an exception so far. We hope that it remains that way, that we can have the same kind of structure, and that it doesn't become very expensive or anything. That would be a pity. Yeah, so it's yeah, and then the organization also gets some funding from the city because they like that we have cultural activities here. So some funding is also for the gallery, for example, and public activities. We get some funding from both the government and the city.
How many guest studio now?
Guest studios, we have 5 guest studios. So we always have 5 artists, and somebody like now, Julia and Felipe from Brazil, they are 2 persons in one studio. So we have like 5 or 6 artists all the time. Some people are staying here for 1 month, and some people are staying here for like you did 9 months. So it's very different. And right now with Corona, we have had more like local artists or people from Denmark, for example, or more close by. That's easier which is easier to travel. Which is, I hope, from that aspect, I hope that we can meet. It's more interesting to meet people from maybe a bit further away than your neighboring countries. And it's also, I guess, the aim of having the guest studios is to have an artistic exchange between local artists and like, yeah, to get new experiences. We want, of course, to get from the artists here on site. They want to have people that comes with other angles and other perspectives and other artistic experiences. And that's a bit, right now during Corona, it's quite slow in that aspect.
So sometimes Japanese artists stay here.
Now I didn't really hear because it's a car.
Yeah, sometimes Japanese artists stay here.
Yeah. I only been working for 1 year, so and it was only one Japanese artist that year, but it would come one artist in February. That's from Japan. Hopefully, hopefully we'll see. But and it's been a Japanese artist before, but I don't really know so much about them because I wasn't here then. Now it begins raining, so I have to just go inside because otherwise my phone will get very wet. But we got it was good.
I think a bunch of Japanese artists apply Konstepidemin to watch this video.
That's great. We want more Japanese artists to apply. It's
quite nice place. So
yeah. It's very it's a good atmosphere here. It's quite calm, but still lots of things are going on.
And to run in the space, there I remember you said a very organic. It's Konstepidemin is very organic to run the space, and I hung out with an international artist group, and everyone looks so happy and enjoying to talk a lot to drink beer. It looks so nice. Yeah, and recently Nozomu make art collective here, and we just started for 1 year.
No, 2016.
2000,
めっちゃ
4
前。
years.
4 years.
Okay.
4 years. And still, yeah, it's I think it's the way of artist in Konstepidemin very なんだろうな、ためになるっていうか、a good example for us, I think. And yeah, now we are just collective to drink beer, but I think
That's a good beginning, I think.
yeah.
But that's my I don't know if all the artists in Sweden are not that good in collaborating all the time, but I think that's kind of because artists it's a very kind of a lonely and lonely experience at sometimes. So I think it's like almost like essential and crucial that you kind of either you're part of some organization or like from my own perspective, I like to like collaborate like artistically and doing art together with people. But I think otherwise, if everybody gets to have to work on their own, I think you're very easily sucked into kind of another agenda, like to produce products or more. You're very easily that you have to communicate in another way. But if you're a part of a more like a community of artists, it's easier to kind of develop more interesting art pieces, I think. And you can also be a bit more, you don't have to be so you're less anxious and scared, maybe. Like if you're totally alone, it's or at least from my perspective, I think like that. I like to work with people because then if you're alone, you have to be I don't know, responsible for everything you do. But if you work together with people, you're just responsible for some things you do. I think that's quite nice.
So
interesting.
Nice. Thank you for to join online talk, and I would like to なんだろう。
サブタイト
ル。いや、ライブをとりあえずやめようか。
So we're gonna finish.
Yeah, we're gonna finish live streaming now.
Thanks a lot for having me. It was really nice talking to you and also presenting my work and our space here in our organization.
So enjoyed.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot.
これでやめる一回。ここで終わりね。これ終了。
ライブストリームのね。
そう。そう。じゃあね。